marital problems. He reckons most couples' troubles stem from bygone days. We need to become different people. Reborn. Dell sipped his cognac. Dressing up, is it? It's called fantasy therapy, Rodney explained, trying to sound intellectual. Iconoclastic autosuggestion. We write down our fantasy figures, and for one night, we become them. No reality, just make-believe. That evening, the Nelson Mandela House flat was transformed. Rodney had spent the afternoon at a theatrical costume shop, returning with a brown paper bag and a look of terrified determination. Cassandra was the first to emerge. She was dressed in a police uniform, the hat low over her eyes, the handcuffs dangling from her belt. She looked authoritative, sharp, and undeniably stunning. "I've arrested you," she said, her voice dropping an octave. Rodney emerged next. He had chosen a gladiator outfit, complete with a plastic breastplate and a leather skirt that did nothing for his spindly legs. He looked less like Russell Crowe in Gladiator and more like a man who had lost a fight with a Roman laundry. "Are you supposed to be Spartacus?" Dell asked, having walked into the living room to borrow a lighter. "Russell Crowe," Rodney barked. "You look like Billy Elliot with worms," Dell countered. "Anyway, I'm taking Raquel and Damien out. You to have the flat to yourselves. Enjoy the mating ritual." As Dell left, Rodney turned to Cassandra. The silliness of the costumes began to fade, replaced by a genuine connection. For a moment, they weren't a bankrupt couple living in a council flat. They were just two people trying to find their way back to each other. But the night was interrupted by the phone. "Don't answer it," Cassandra whispered. "I have to," Rodney said, his gladiator sandals slapping against the linoleum. Dell's expecting a very important call. He picked up the receiver. "Trotter's Independent Traders. How may I help you?" "Good evening," a voice said. "I am wishing to speak with the managing director." "This is he," Rodney said, standing tall in his plastic armor. "My name is Rodney Trotter. I am a representative of the Sultan of Brunei," the voice continued. Rodney rolled his eyes. He knew that voice. "Oh, shove it, Mickey Pierce. Shove it right up your. I knew it was you. Give it a rest, will you?" He slammed the phone down. Mickey Pierce, he told Cassandra, pretending to be the Sultan of Brunei. What a whaley! Chapter 6: The Golden Rush. The important call Dell had been waiting for wasn't from the Sultan. It was from a television producer. A week later, Del Boy was standing under the searing heat of studio lights, his heart hammering against his ribs. He was a contestant on Gold Rush, the fastest game show on TV, hosted by the inimitable Jonathan Ross. And finally, Jonathan Ross announced to the cheering audience, "We have Derek Trotter from Peckham, a businessman who loves fine wines, the theater, and 16th century Italian Renaissance art." Del beamed, waving to the camera as if he were addressing a board of directors. He had made it through the timed rounds, his fastest finger aided by a bit of luck propelling him to the center stage. "Del, come and join me," Jonathan said. "You're our first challenger on the Rainbow Road. Whatever happens, you've got a pound in your pocket. Welcome to the BBC." The game was simple, but brutal. Correct answers moved you up the rainbow toward the 100,000 pounds gold question. Mistakes froze you out. Del breezed through the early rounds. He knew Kilimanjaro was in Africa thanks to a duty-free brain cell, as he put it. He managed to navigate a tricky question about the state where JFK was born by using his shot in the dark option. But then came the 50,000 pounds question. The lights turned to deep, warning red. The audience went silent. For 50,000 pounds, Derek, Jonathan Ross said, his voice echoing in the vast studio. Which classical guitarist wrote the opera The Child and the Enchantment? Was it Ravel, Segovia, or Rodrigo? Del froze. He knew the names, but his brain felt like it had been scrubbed with a wire brush. He looked toward the camera, toward the millions of people watching at home. "I'm going to have to use my SOS, Jonathan," Del said, his voice cracking. "And who is your savior tonight?" "Derek." "My brother, Rodney. He's at home, taking care of a bit of business. He's got to GCE's, you know." The studio crew dialed the number. Back in Peckham. Rodney was sitting on the sofa, still wearing his gladiator breastplate for lack of anything better to do. The phone rang. "Hello." Rodney answered, wary of another Mickey Pierce prank. "Rodney, it's Jonathan Ross." "Oh, piss off, Mickey," Rodney shouted. "You're getting on my tits now." "Rodney, no, it really is Jonathan Ross. I'm here with your brother, Derek, and he needs your help for 50,000 pounds. Del's voice came over the line, sounding small and desperate. "Rodders, help me out. Son, which classical guitarist wrote the opera The Child and the Enchantment? Ravel, Segovia, or Rodrigo?" Rodney hesitated. He thought of his GCE in music. He thought of the hours he'd spent listening to Mozart to ease his executive stress. "Ravel," Rodney said firmly. 100%, Del, it's Ravel." Del turned back to Jonathan Ross, a look of triumph on his face. "I'll go with that, Jonathan. It's Ravel." The studio fell into a hush. Jonathan Ross looked at his card, then back at Del. "Derek, that was the wrong answer. It was Segovia." The frozen lights bathed the stage in a cold, blue glow. Del's face fell. 50,000 pounds had vanished into the ether. But Rodney said, Del stammered. "I'm sorry, Del," Jonathan said, "but your brother was wrong. You're frozen out of the game." Chapter 7, The Final Irony. The journey back to Peckham was a long, silent affair. Del had disappeared into the night immediately after the show, leaving Raquel and Damien to take a cab home provided by the studio. When he finally walked through the door of the flat, Rodney